Hello and welcome to another Stamp with Amy K Facebook Live video, and I'm just out here on my Facebook page, hopefully pulling up the video so that I can see everybody's comments and anybody hopping in to say hello. So I appreciate it if you are joining me today. Feel free to leave a little comment and say hello, and if you're watching the replay, that is just awesome too. So whatever works best for you works for me, and I can see that I'm a little crooked. Again, still trying to get used to the new phone that I have shoots the picture a lot wider than my old one did. And so I'm trying to kind of get used to and figure out the best placement for everything and not make you guys too sick with zooming it in way too close. And anyway, it looks different on the phone than it does when I pull it up on the computer. So it's a little weird. So just getting used to it, that's all. So hey, Akiko, I'm glad that you're here and thanks for saying hello. And I hope that you're doing okay today. And it's Tuesday and we're getting through it and just with the usual craziness. So thanks again for joining today and I appreciate it. And gosh, now I'm feeling like I need to wiggle the phone down just a little. Anyway, one of these days I'll figure out the exact placement that I want. So, all right. So, it does have a little zoom, and like I said, I'm trying to figure out how to make it look best. So, all right. Hey, Nancy, thanks for joining today, and I see Patricia is hopping on too. So, hello, and thanks for joining. So today I've got a pretty quick and easy card here. Hey, Karen, I'm glad that you're here today too. So. Pretty quick and easy card that I made with the Colorful Seasons stamp set and the Ornate Layers dies. But hey, Rosie, glad you're here. So, I'll start with the stamp set. This is one of the stamp sets. It's been around for a little while, and I'm a little nervous that it might not carry over to next year's catalog. So if this is one that you love as much as I do, definitely get it. It is in the current annual catalog. But like I said, it's got a few years on it, so I'm a little nervous this one may not make the next cut. We shall see. We find out on April 22nd what is carrying over and what is not for the annual catalog. So keep your fingers crossed that it will, because I love the stamp set and love the dies that coordinate with it as well. So hey, Karen, glad you're here today. So hopefully you're not having to sneak out of work and, sneak in the back door and, and watch the video. So this is the stamp set we use for the sentiment on here today. And then I used a couple different die sets. This is the Ornate Layers dies, which is one of the new sets of dies I'll talk about in just a second that we have available now from the upcoming catalog. So... And, hey, Mary, I'm glad you're here today too. So almost on, hey, you're way on time. I'm still talking and, I haven't even started anything yet. So, and then I used the Stitched Shapes dies. I used the square one on the card, but I actually think I'm going to use the circle one when we make it today, just for something a little different. I'm not sure that I'm in love with the square on here. So I thought using the circle, we might give that a try and see how it looks on the card. So, and then we have got the subtle embossing folder, which I'm sure you can't see hardly anything on it because it's very subtle, but hopefully you can see it on the card. And if not, you'll be able to see it on my blog post tomorrow. Hey, Marilyn, glad you're here. And I see Barbara's here as well. So thanks for joining. So I did use the embossing folder. This again is the older style embossing folder that was made by the previous company that did our embossing folder and dies, but there's a new style of it out. So if you have the new style of embossing folder, make sure you're using that 3D embossing folder plate. It makes embossing so much easier with the new embossing folder. So that's it for the materials that we used on the card today. But I did want to show you really quickly about the dies, since these are something new that Stampin' Up! Has got. They're from the Ornate Garden Product Suite, which is an early release that Stampin' Up! Hey, Jerry and Sherry, thanks for hopping in. So Stampin' Up! Has got an early release of some new products from the upcoming annual catalog, and it's the Ornate Garden Product Suite, and it's absolutely beautiful. The dies are stunning. The paper is amazing. So you definitely should get it. At least that's my opinion. So it's bundled up in different ways, and you can order it in different ways or individually, everything together. So there is one button that you can push to get every single thing in the product suite, which is nice because if you're going to be like me and order it all anyway, it makes it a lot easier. But you can also just order the individual items and the bundles too. So there is a stamp set called the Ornate Thanks stamps, and it's bundled with the Ornate Borders dies, which are very pretty. And it is bundled together at 10% off if you purchase both together. Otherwise, you can get them individually as well. And then the Ornate Garden Specialty Designer Series paper, which is beautiful, beautiful. So again, you did it too, Karen. Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one. I have a feeling there are a few of us out there who punched that button. So the Ornate Garden Specialty Designer Series paper, which is also very pretty. It's gold foiled. If you haven't seen it, it's stunning. And then we have the Ornate Style stamp set with the Ornate Layers dies, which are the dies that we're using today. I used a couple different ones. I actually used the longer rectangle ones, 2 of them here from this die set. And that's bundled together, or again, you can get them individually. And then there are the Gilded Gems, which are pretty gold little gems, the Ornate Garden Ribbon Combo Pack, and the Ornate Floral 3D Embossing Folder. So these are all items that are from the upcoming catalog that Stampin' Up! Has been nice enough to release early for us. So that is definitely awesome. So I'm glad it's not just me. Hey, Kathy, thanks for joining from Maine. And you have it too, Sherry. See, it's a good one. So I'm glad I'm not the only one who had no control and just had to order it all because it's really pretty. So one last thing I wanted to talk with you about, and then we'll get moving on the card, is our team is actually going to be doing something kind of fun with this suite of products on Saturday, April 18th from 1 until 6 o'clock. We're going to set up a Facebook page, and a couple of us are going to do some live shares of videos, so live card making and project demonstrations out there, as well as we're going to have other team members who are sharing, and we will be too, those of us who present live will be sharing projects that we've made throughout the last couple of weeks with this new suite of products. So if you are interested, drop me a note. I'll be posting the details again out on my blog, which is stampwithamyk.com, for how you can get into that. You just need to ask and we'll invite you in. I'll be setting up an invite thing probably around the 16th or so of April, and let everybody start hopping into that group that might be interested in joining us for the day. And like I said, we'll just hang out and do a little stamping and have some fun. So, all right, so on with the card, and apologize about the long introduction, but just wanted to tell you it's all exciting stuff. So card base is Poppy Parade, and is cut to 4 1/4 by 11 and scored at 5 1/2, which again, this card you could just as easily make if you prefer the book fold cards. You could cut it to 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 and score it at 4 1/4. So Karen says she ordered it all too and have double stamp set. Yay. So, all right. Well, that'll be fun for you to have either for classes or for, as a little bonus giveaway. So we've got a card base, again, Poppy Parade. And then I went ahead and embossed this ahead of time with the subtle embossing folder, which again, I'm sure it probably doesn't show up very well on the video, but hopefully you can see it. And if not, it'll be out on my blog post tomorrow. So using a little bit of liquid glue, and we're just going to adhere the embossed panel to the card front. And I do get asked often why I do a second piece of cardstock rather than just embossing the card front, and I do that simply because it's easy. Because I find that trying to wrestle a card front through your embossing machine, die cutting and embossing machine, is not always very easy, depending especially on which way you want to orient the card and what way the embossing folder is working. Sometimes it works perfectly, and then the next time it's a total wrestling match and stuff gets all crooked and crazy. So that is why I just do a panel that's the same size as the card front and just emboss it that way, and then stick the two together, and it's the same thing. So I'm glad, well, good. I'm glad that you guys are able to use the extra stamp set. So a nice little bonus. So thank you, ladies, for being part of the team. So, all right. So on with things. I have got, again, I went ahead and pre-cut some of this with the Ornate Layers dies, and this is painted, Peaceful Poppies Designer Series paper. So, hey, Raz, thanks for hopping in. And I cut it with, let me show you the dies quickly. This is the die that I used for the larger piece of Designer Series paper, and then this is the one that I used for the piece that's a little bit smaller. So again, both from the Ornate Layers dies, which are now available to purchase, and they're beautiful, so you definitely should get them. Well, the whole suite is beautiful, so you should really get it all, but that's just my opinion. And I guess that's all that matters for me. I don't know. But okay, so using a little bit of snail to adhere this on. And I just kind of scooted it over to the close to the edge. It wasn't totally up against the edge, but very close to it. I'm going to adhere it on with a little bit of snail. Same thing. Hey, Christine, thanks for hopping in. So same thing for the other panel that I had pre-cut. Just going to do a little bit of snail on the back of it. And I'm going to adhere it on here, I think about like that. Probably is good. So again, there was no specific measurement, no specific placement. I just kind of put it on how I liked it, how I thought it looked best. All right, so got a little bit of Whisper White cardstock here and Tuxedo Black Memento ink. And going to use the stamp here from the Colorful Season stamp set, or use the sentiment, I guess, from the Colorful Season stamp set. And again, Tuxedo Black Memento ink, just making sure that I got it good and inky, which sometimes Tuxedo Black works really well for me, and then the next time I feel like I'm wrestling with it and can't get it to stamp well for anything. I think that did pretty well, actually. So I'm going to leave it alone and close up my ink pad before I stick my fingers in it. And like I said, today I am going to use the circles instead of the square on it, just because I wanted a little different look on this card. So this is from the Stitched Shapes dies. They're available from Stampin' Up. So just going to run this through the die cutting machine here a second. So yep, I see. I'm glad you agree, Akiko. They are the best, one of the best die sets ever. And I'm finding that so far, I'm not having any trouble. Sometimes you know how the ones that have lots of little dots and things along the edges are a little finicky to use. I'm finding that with the die brush, all it's taken is a couple kind of swishes with the die brush, and all of the pieces are popped out of the die. So it's very easy. I'm finding them very easy to use, which is nice too. So, whoop, let me get that die set aside here before I drop something else. Using pieces from each of the catalogs. I guess I am, I didn't even think about that. So I've kind of been pulling some of the things off of my shelf that I haven't used in a little while recently, just because I'm like, gosh, this is, these things could all go away here in like 2 weeks. And, or I shouldn't say go away, but at the end of the catalog, we're going to find out all this stuff will go away, and then I'll be sad because I won't have used it as many times as I wanted to. So I've been pulling out a few of the, annual catalog items and playing with those this week. So I think the oval shape probably would be, and it'd probably be better than the circle even, but the oval shape instead of the circle definitely would be good, but just a little different look, I guess. So, next up we have, if you don't have these, again, these are another good deal that is they're in the mini catalog, and they are called the Peaceful Poppies Elements. And if you don't have these, you should get them because they're very cool. It's a bunch of kind of pre-cut images and things, and of course I got some loose pieces in here because I've been playing with them. So these are pre-printed, and then there are some that are pre-printed and pre-cut on vellum, which they are very pretty, and then there are some pieces that are pre-cut and embossed on black as well. So, and then we've got the pre-cut and pre-embossed watercolored pieces, which I know they're kind of hard to see. Hopefully I'm getting them in the light so you can see a little bit of what they look like before you start coloring on them. They're just white, and then you can use watercolors, you can use markers, you can use whatever you want to color the images. Today we're going to be playing with a couple markers when we color them. So I'm going to pick, again, just a little different image than the one that I used earlier. I picked out one that was a little more forward facing, and this one's a little bit more side facing for the flower, and we've got a little leaf here that I think I'm going to stick with that one. And just going to do a little bit of coloring. I just used the regular old Stampin' Right markers and colored the image. And again, you don't have to be super, super neat about this. If it goes out of the lines, it goes out of the lines, and that's okay. They're supposed to look kind of artistic, so you're good no matter what you do with them. Like I said, they're really pretty, really easy to use. And you can color them with whatever you would like. You can leave them white, you can sponge them, you can color on them like I'm doing with a marker, you can watercolor them. So they're definitely a good little embellishment to add with any of your projects. So I am using the Poppy Parade marker. I forgot to say the color on it, and then we're going to come back with a little bit of Old Olive. And this is an ancient marker, so it looks a little different than the newer Old Olive ones do, but it hasn't died yet, so I kind of have been waiting for it to die before I get a new one to replace it. And again, I'm just coloring the little leaf image a little bit with my Old Olive marker. And these are, again, just the regular old Stampin' Right markers, the water-based markers that we have. The last thing that I did, which again, I'm sure it's a little hard to see in the video, but I put a little bit of Wink of Stella over the top of the flower image, just because I thought I'd add a little bit something extra, a little extra pretty over the top of it. And plus you can use it if you get anything where things are a little bit uneven in your coloring, particularly when you use the regular Stampin' Right markers. Sometimes you get kind of streaks and that sort of thing with it. But if you take Wink of Stella and run it over the top, it actually kind of evens out the color a little bit. The only thing to be aware of is, like I used it on the red, so brush it a little bit on junk cardstock or your grid paper or whatever before you move on to the next color, so that you don't accidentally end up with red ink mixed in with your green when you don't want it that way. So, all right, just doing a little bit of brushing there, and my Wink of Stella, the top broke on it, so it comes apart in pieces now, like it shouldn't do. So the other thing I'm going to do with this is I can see that I've got a little bit of ink sitting on top of the white embossed, which hopefully you can see that on there. So I'm just going to take a little bit of tissue and kind of gently wipe that away so that it doesn't smear later on down the road. When I put my fingers on it, because I know that it will, because again, from experience, I've smeared lots and lots of things. So if you sort of take a tissue or a paper towel or a soft towel of some sort and just dab over the top, then you will remove any of the ink from the embossed areas so that it won't smear and get all over everything later on down the road. All right, so we have got our card front pretty well put together. And then I'm just going to take a couple little glue dots here. And I'm going to adhere, first I'm going to take a glue dot and adhere the two pieces together, the flower and the leaf. And then I'm going to take more glue dots and adhere the flower to the sentiment. And I'm going to wait to put anything underneath the leaf until I see where things land, and I can tuck a little Stampin' Dimensional under there if I need to, which it looks like I probably will. So we're going to take this and adhere it to the circle. And then I'm going to take a little Stampin' Dimensional and take the backing off of it and put it up here under. I'm hoping you can see what I'm doing, that I don't have my arms in the way. Put it up under the leaf, and then I'm going to bend the leaf up a little bit because that's sort of wanted it to look that way instead of being pointing a little more straight out. So that is it for the flower. Again, very easy to use and super simple. Just, do a little coloring, do a little Wink of Stella, and even the Wink of Stella is optional. Don't need to do that. But I just thought I'd add a little bit extra to it and thought it was pretty. So I'm going to add in a couple of rhinestones around the card front here. And I think I'll tuck one in there and then do the final one. Whoop, I just shot it right off the paper. Hopefully I can catch it. Final one over here. And that's basically it for the card front. So again, super simple. Just did a little bit of stamping and let the dies kind of do most of the work on the card front today. So thank you very much, Kathy. I appreciate that. And is the camera out of focus? I hope not. Go out and back in. I don't know. Hopefully it's not. I don't know. I know that live streaming has been causing some issues recently because everybody is doing it. So hopefully it's not causing an issue. If it is, I apologize. But anyway, hopefully it's working for everybody. Using a little bit of snail on the inside and just a little strip again of the Peaceful Poppies Designer Series paper. Gonna adhere that on the bottom with snail. Use my snips to trim it. All right. Okay, so it's good and clear. Okay, good. I was hoping that it wasn't causing an issue. I know we have a lot of devices running at our house too, kind of at all times. So you definitely should get the Poppy elements, Heather. They're really pretty, and like I said, they're really simple to use. You can even use them just plain. They're really pretty, even just plain because they're embossed and definitely pretty. So, all right, clear now, getting out and back in. Good. Okay, I'm glad that it fixed it for you. So. All right, and hopefully I didn't just whack the camera when I flipped the card over. So that's the inside of the card. So again, kept it pretty simple there. And then I'm going to flip this over and do a little crease on the back rather than on the front. So I try to minimize the smashing of the embossed area up here at the top. So got two different cards, again, same design basically, but just a little different look. One's got the circle, one's got the square, and I'm actually still leaning towards, I think I like the circle better. Probably should have stuck with that to begin with. That was my original plan, and then I'm like, well, I don't know if I should mix circles and rectangles, and went with the square instead, and I think I like the circle better. So, all right, well, thanks so much for joining me today, ladies and gentlemen, and hopefully you have a good rest of your Tuesday, and I will plan to see you guys on YouTube Live out on my YouTube channel on Friday. Again, my blog is stampwithamyk.com. I'll have all the details for this card posted out there tomorrow, and I'll link it up in the comment section of this video, so you'll be able to see it and click on it if you have any questions or want to go look at anything out there. So thank you all so much for joining me today. Thanks for your sweet comments and the hearts and all that. Love having you guys join me and do a little, hopefully it's a little entertaining while you're sitting around your house. So try not to go stir crazy. So thanks again for joining, and have a great rest of your day.